The Ministry of Communications, Works, Labour and Energy is continuing its efforts to improve road conditions and access to communities across Montserrat. The ministry is currently conducting road rehabilitation and improvement works in the Barzey's community. The work is being undertaken in the northern section of the Barzey's road and is a continuation of the extensive work which has already started on the Barzey's main road. The Honourable Minister of Works, Paul Lewis, provides details about the work being undertaken.
Having taken power, we decided to carry out extensive work on the Barzey's main road. And we have been using funds from the infrastructure priority project to execute or implement these road improvements. So you know that we started further south. We're now close to the north side of the Barzey's main road. So this is just a continuation of what took place last year and the year before. And what we find is that this area, it required some widening of the road. That's one thing first. And then we needed to take out what you call the geese neck out of one area, a corner, which unfortunately there's this pretty large gut that passed through it. And in order to get over that gut and correct the steep or sharp turn in the corner, we will be installing a bridge, which unfortunately compliments of no breakwater. The bridge actually arrived in Montserrat and went back to St. Martin, and that will bring us to another subject matter at another day. So actually we are pleased to know that works are actually ongoing. We did some cuts on the other end of the road, and then we had to stop for a while. Then we're now on the side of the gut, and we are carrying out cuts, as you can see right behind me. And of course, you see that the building, the construction of back walls has started. This is natural because having cut that side and given the nature of the ground, we realize it's not very stable after a certain point. So then we have to install back walls to allow it to, mitigate against landslides, etc. Well, today I'm pleased to see that we actually have work ongoing, although there's still work to be done on the bridge section. Of course, Mr. Passon will fill you in on that aspect. We're just happy to be able to report to the people of Montserrat that this project is ongoing and is one of the projects that's been said to be part of the 30 million or whatever that budget is. And of course, as you can see, we are progressing smoothly thus far.
He explains that the roadworks are being financed under the Montserrat Priority Infrastructure Needs Project.
Well, we did negotiate infrastructure priority project, and that's about roughly 20 million around the EC over 3 years. And this particular piece of work on the Barzey main road and the other first section that we did actually is being funded from that infrastructure priority fund. And this is in the final year, so this will be the last funding for this particular project. Hopefully we can get that project extended.
The ministry's civil engineer, Ralston Patterson, explains that the work in the Barzey's area is considered critical.
Now, while we were putting this project together, we were looking at, as the minister mentioned, we were looking at the critical sections, the very critical sections, and we realized one thing with this area that there was a lot of slippage happening. And also another key point for this area is that it's a bypass road. It's one of the main bypass roads to give access to the north, especially to our key infrastructures such as the hospital, the airport, the port. Recently there was an accident in Casby, and all the traffic had to be diverted through this road, and it really highlighted how important this piece of road is. But in terms of what we are doing, the retaining wall, even before cutting it, there was already slippage because of the topography and the geological makeup of this land area. We have a hard outcrop underneath, and the top is soft, so once it becomes saturated, it starts sliding. And then we're into climate change and all that, a lot of rain happening, and we have increase in construction on this side as well due to folks being moved to the side. So with that, they have sort of exaggerate the land movement that we're having here. So it was important that we do the retaining walls here. Apart from that, it helped with the widening. As the minister mentioned, it allows for heavy equipment to come through. It allows for safe access of pedestrians and motorists, especially when we have to use this road as a key piece of road in the event that the main road is blocked. And so we have the retaining walls now ongoing. We do have contracts in place for drainage and for the roadway, which would be concrete. So those would come following. The bridge, which is a main piece, we know it's a major gutway. And so we have up to increase the capacity and the size of that bridge, not only for flow of water, but we took into consideration debris flow. Might have fallen trees up far upstream, so the bridge is sized to cater for that. And maintenance is very critical as well. It is sized that a small equipment like a backhoe or a bobcat can enter inside and do any clearing if necessary. So the bridge works will start later on. We are sort of delayed on that because a lot of our shipping ports were disrupted. For example, St. Martin's damage, also Miami. So shipping took a lot longer than we expected. Now eventually the bridge got to Montserrat, and because we don't have a breakwater, it returned to St. Martin's because of the rough seas. But nevertheless, we would get into that, and what we intend to do is to run a lot of the balance work in parallel. So while the bridge work is ongoing, we'll try to do as much of the road works and the drain works at the same time.
2 contractors are currently working on the retaining wall, and other contractors will be engaged for the road and drainage works. Mr. Patterson provides further details about the construction of the retaining walls.
All right, so the retaining wall would start from this point and it would take us down to where we would start the bridge, down to the last property here. So we actually have about 3 sections of retaining wall. What we have done on the other side, because there's no housing on that side, we slope that to create a stable embankment, but there's no intention of putting a retaining wall there at the moment.
Apart from the road works in Barzey, the ministry is also undertaking works in the Judy Piece community.
In 2014, when we took office, if you walk through Judy Piece, you'll be walking through all dirt road. If you drive to Judy Piece, you'll be driving through all dirt road. As you see, we drove down from the Methodist Church and we came down the steep. When we first got in office, the complaint was that the water rushed down that road, and because of the lack of drainage, it would be creating a lot of damages to the properties below the road. And of course, we decided to attack that area first. So we did the drainage work and the surfacing of the road and lead that water into a gut, and also did some work on the gutter itself in terms of drainage. And then we did not have enough money to do anything else, so that was in 2015. So in 2016, we came back and did another section of the road that continued, and you would have seen that when you drove in. Then we went back down to the bottom of this road here now that you're looking at, and we did some work that's from the main road. It's coming off the main road leading to the what we call the back road that will lead to where we will dump the garbage, that side. And we came up and we approached where we are now seeing the start of a development of apartments. Then we did this section of the road to join up. And that is because we needed to do that first to ensure that we capture the water that would come off this road here. And then we proceeded this year to do this piece of road. Again, you know, we never have enough money. Money is never enough. So we're going to wait until we pass the budget and continue the portion of road that you see being excavated at the moment. So then I always remember how my grandmother did things. You build one room, you build another room, and eventually you have a house, a 3-bedroom house, and it looked like it was all built at once. So we took that same approach and we did sections by sections each year. And now we are at this stage where we're about to wrap up the Judy Piece area. So I think that the people of Judy Piece will appreciate this very much, and the people of Montserrat in general as they traverse through these areas.
While explaining what the project entails, Mr. Patterson also points out that the intent is for communities to have more resilient roads.
As you see, we have the works ongoing. The whole intent is for villages to have roads that are resilient to storms and other events. prior to now, it was quite difficult to get out of this area once it rained, and we received a number of petitions from the neighboring folks and from the residents of this area. So we have embarked on this road project. What it entails is that we're going to do drainage and concrete roads that will take us back to the main road. Eventually you'll be able to access from the Methodist Church into this area, and you also could access from the other lower end. A third access is at the bottom here, which is on the same road that takes you to the football field, and that is key. What we're looking at is also having alternate access. In the event that something happens, at one point you could actually access key facilities such as the hospital, as we always do mention, the airport, and that is very important. Now once you see there's road development, other development would follow, as we're seeing with the housing development just alongside here. Very key for us, the drainage works. We have to create a sort of complex drainage system to ensure that the water is properly discharged into the drain. Prior, we had the water actually going down on somebody's property here. So what we're doing now, we actually lower the road section coming along on the upper side. It will go into a culvert, and then we'll discharge in the drain that goes on this road. And there's U-drain at the bottom and culverts that take us into the drain. So that is very key.
The roadworks are part of the ministry's thrust to provide safe road access across the island. Mr. Lewis and Mr. Patterson provided updates on these road projects during a site visit to the areas on Wednesday, February 7.